Good for everybody to see. So really, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time to expand your horizons. So I'm Lenska. I hold a real estate broker license, but I do a lot of ADU consulting and feasibility. And I work with CREST Backyard Homes because I love to sell homes. And as you probably noticed, there are not a lot of listings out there, and certainly the buyers disappear. So I am all for affordable housing and help people make the most out of their properties and their finances. Okay. I have a YouTube channel, and I also have a meetup, and some of us, you probably joined us through my meetup group. So I'm big on education and telling how it is. So here, behind every strong woman are two guys, and here is John, and Tim could not join us today. You want to tell a little bit about Tim, what he does, John?
Yeah, well, Tim and I are actually born on the same day, but Leos are characteristically not extremely well organized, or do they pay much attention to detail? But I have to tell you that my partner Tim is one of the most anally retentive, detail-oriented guys I've ever known in my life. He runs the back end of our business. He calls me the face man because I run the front end. I handle the marketing, the sales, the advertising, the promotion, et cetera, et cetera.
But wasn't he that suggested we need a new face, and this is how I came in?
Well, we just needed a lady. We're just a couple of old guys. Not everybody likes to look at old guys for an hour, but you're not, little eye candy doesn't hurt. But at any rate, we've been at this a while. Collectively, we both have we wear a lot of badges. We're general contractors. We're manufactured home contractors. We're also a manufactured home dealer. We're an RV dealer, so we can sell park models and tiny homes,
including tiny homes.
Including tiny homes, and we do. Yep, we're engaged in the whole gambit of factory built alternatives. We do not do ground up. We have references like my son and my daughter that we can recommend if you want to go with a custom ground up option. We can certainly refer you to folks that do it, but our specialty is manufactured.
All right, so as I already mentioned, home prices have gone to the moon, and an ADU, I'm not sure if I have a lot of newbies on the call, but an ADU is an accessory dwelling unit, and it's a secondary home on your property, or it can be part or carved out of your existing square footage, which we call a junior ADU, that can only be up to 500 square feet. So if you're looking at the average price right now in San Diego, it was at September at $567, down from $639. Yes, prices have been going down. Price per square foot has been going down. So, but compared to, you probably get quotes between, anywhere between $300 and $500 a square foot to build one, because that's obviously for a small square footage. Where manufactured, again, I'm a big fan of it, can be half of what you guys see here from $639. And that is already upgraded. Okay, so it does make sense, right, to build an ADU. And look at this, I found that very interesting. The number of ADUs permitted increased by 1,400% from 2016 to 2021. Other than 2020, a year raked by COVID, ADU permitting has increased by 42 to 72% every year since 2016.
Excuse me, Lenska, could you mute everybody? There's some background. I think somebody's got they're unmuted.
Yeah. Hold on, babe. And I probably will mute you too, so I will unmute you.
That's fine.
All right, so and so 1 in 7 homes, ADUs, roughly 1 in 7 homes permitted in California. So you guys can see how busy the jurisdictions are getting these approved. And I know the timelines to get permits is anywhere between, 3 months to a year currently. All right, let's see.
It is getting a little bit better though. We're noticing that it's compared to the way it was again a couple of years ago when the COVID thing hit, where it was going upwards of a year, believe it or not. We've gotten that back down to within almost normal limits. We're now looking at anywhere from probably 3 at the very best to possibly as much as 6 months on the outside.
And I think everybody, is looking at interest rates right now, including CREST Backyard Homes. We had a couple of cancellations. We have to admit, unfortunately, because the interest rates just put a little damper on the refinancing of your current residence or cash refis, because we went up from 2.67 in December of 2020 to now we are actually above 7 in October for 2022. And I know we have 2 lenders on the call here, so I might call on you later. But if you want to just raise your hand if you want to chime in. But just to make you guys aware of, if you have a median home of 780,000 and you put 20% down at 7%, your payment, it's just a P&I, it's not property tax. It's 4,150. Now with it was at 3%, the payment was at 2,630. So we're talking a difference of about $1,500, which means it's 228,000 less home, meaning this right here is your ADU. So right now with the interest rates, how I see it is some of the people, lost an ADU, but also prices are only down 10%. Right? So we might see still a little bit more price decrease. So if you feel like you want to do an ADU, then I would suggest you get on it, because there's always time to refi. So because if you have equity in your house, and it looks a little confusing, but the point I want to drive home and is if your value of your home is 650,000 and your mortgage is currently of 250,000, and you might have a good interest rate and you are only paying 1,800, right? But you have 400,000 of equity sitting in there. So at 650,000 and you are doing a cash out refi of 520,000, you have still 130,000 in, which is your 20%. Your new payment might be 3,700. Now people look at, oh wow, 1.8 and 3.7, but you're building with that 270,000. You whether building or getting, you actually manufactured, you would get a 3-bedroom 2 house for 1,200 square foot, which would rent for more. But we don't want to. We don't want to go too technically and too detailed, but the point I'm trying to make is that with a 3,200 rental income, right, and $4,000 payment now, plus your supplemental tax, property tax is 4,000. Suddenly you're only actually paying 800 instead of 1,800. Okay. So don't get hung up on interest rate. Everybody is different. So give us a call or give me a call. As you can tell, I'm a numbers person, so we can run those financials for you.
Well, let me interject too, Lenska, what you said the last time we had a meeting. Don't worry about how high the interest rates are, because the rents are even higher.
Exactly.
Going higher.
Yeah. And we know, because the pressure on rents will be even worse this or next year, because we lost with the higher interest rates. We did lose a few buyers. So now this is what you all came for, but I kind of want to set the stage and kind of want to give you a little background, a little encouragement, you know, regarding interest rates and timelines. And so I think it's great that California, with all that big $1 billion surplus, is actually putting some money towards housing. So the website is the CalHFA, California Housing Finance Agency, and really dial in on that website. They have a lot of actually videos. They have a PDF form you can download that explains the ADU grant program. So, and people really make sure it says the ADU grant provides up to $40,000 towards pre-development. People use it loosely and say, oh, 40K, you get 40K. You obviously have to prove that you have non-reoccurring cost, which means these are closing costs. And we go more into detail what these are. But that's kind of the website I would recommend you go and study before you complete your application, okay? So you understand what they'd like. So, and there's also, and I haven't dug into it, but the San Diego Housing Commission has also certain programs available. But remember, every time you get a grant or you're under a program, you have to fulfill their criteria. It's the same when you get a loan with Fannie Mae. Fannie Mae has certain criteria of what they lend on, and you have to fulfill those. So in order, because why should you listen to us, right?
This is Lenska.
Why should you listen to us? Oh, I lost it. Why should you listen to us that I haven't gone through the application program, but what we try at CREST Backyard Homes is really to practice what we preach. So we'd like to always be a front runner and try how, is it easy to get the grant or is it more difficult? And I have to quick stop share because I have to correct that one slide, unfortunately. And so John, give us a little bit, because I have to correct that one slide.
Sure. What we'll be seeing here momentarily is a kind of a preview of the very first applicant who actually qualified for the grant and received approval on it. And we're going to be starting on her project forthwith. Now, for total transparency, it happens to be my daughter. But when this first started, I told her, because she's been looking to get an ADU on her property for some time now, and she just didn't quite have the stretch financially to get there. But this has kind of pushed her over the edge, and it's that extra 40 grand has really come in handy, and it's turned her from a non-participant to a participant in obtaining that goal.
Okay, so I think I'm finally ready, and I'm the one that didn't turn off her phone. Let me play it in full video.
Hi, Janine. This is Lenska. It is super nice that you made the time to talk to John and me today. How are you?
Great, thank you. Thanks for having me.
And it has been just a few months since I stopped by your house and looked at your great backyard and with super ADU potential. So to everybody on the call, Janine is the first CREST Backyard Homes client that actually got the grant approved. She applied, probably one of the first ones. So Janine, take us through it, because it's super exciting that, you know, we haven't heard from many people that they actually got the grant approved.
Yeah, it's super exciting. John from CREST Backyard Homes actually had given me a call. He's also my dad. So he has my best interest at heart. And so he called and he said, you need to apply for the grant as soon as you can. They just opened up and lifted some contingencies for like some lending requirements and things. And so I sat down right when he called me and I filled out the application. It was pretty simple and straightforward. It asked me for a little bit of personal information.
So how long did it take you overall? Was it like a 10-minute deal or hour deal?
I think it took me probably about 30 or 45 minutes. But I wasn't very prepared or organized for what to expect. But I'm also good on the computer too. So I think that like I have all of my files and so much information on my computer so that everything that it asked for, I was like prepared for in my own way. So I think for the average person, it could take, 45 minutes to an hour.
Now that's a pretty good 40K for an hour. It's pretty good.
Not bad.
Even so, we're not sure if you can use the whole 4K, but John and I will explain that one later. And so what did it entail? Did you have to submit paperwork? Did you have to call somebody, or was it just purely on the computer filling out?
Yeah, so I believe the first step was to create some kind of a profile, like my username and email, and to verify that. And then it asked me a series of personal questions, like my address, and if I was working with a contractor, which I was, CREST Backyard Homes. And if I had any plans, which I did, I had some plans. And so I did submit plans. That was one thing. And that was all on my computer, which was nice. And it asked me if I had some estimates. And I said that I do have some estimates, which I didn't. I actually don't have complete estimates, but I did say I did have them. And so I don't think that that's a make or break to get the grant.
So once you when you call CREST Backyard Home, so it's you got the estimate for the home.
Yep.
And then it also asks you for an estimate of the utilities and construction estimate.
Yeah, so they basically don't ask you to upload everything. They ask you to upload what you have. So if you have a blueprint, you upload that. If you have an estimate and a blueprint, you upload that. So they pretty much just ask for what you have, and it's not like required. Like it's not like you can't go on with the application if you don't have something.
It's not like you have to have everything all at once.
No, exactly.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good. So with other words, it's important to do work with the company together, like CREST Backyard Homes, to have your ducks in order to complete that form.
I think so. I think having kind of being prepared going into it is important, but I also think that it's not ever too late to find, to reach out to CREST Backyard Homes. And even if you've already submitted it, I don't think it'd be too late to reach out to them now and say, hey, I submitted this, I'm waiting on my application, something like that.
And here's the good news. I think, John, please confirm that I think this is now where people actually, they already have ordered the house and the escrow is actually not closed. So it's not too late to put that application in now. So
That's correct.
And so when and how do you get the 40,000?
Yeah, so this part is kind of cool. So I got an award letter by email that said you've been awarded the $40,000, and then within a day I received a DocuSign that explained to me how the money would be retrieved. And so what basically happens is the $40,000 goes into an escrow fund that we DocuSign for. And I don't know if I should keep going, but basically then you take all of your estimates that you receive from your contractor or contractors, and you submit those. They want to see those estimates, and then they want to see proof of funds. And those funds will also go into the escrow account. So that's all explained in the DocuSign, that
Oh,
All of your funds for the project need to be seen up front and put into that escrow fund. And I believe, we're not there yet, but I believe everything then gets paid from that
Okay.
escrow.
Yeah, and John and I, we have a list and a slide we're going to share later on what costs are covered and which costs are not covered. So Janine, thank you for spending the time with us. And I know you have to run, you maybe can listen in. If there are any questions, we'll maybe forward you or contact you if one of our members has some questions. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Well, now.
all right. So that was our interview with Janine. I hope that was helpful from a practical point. And as you guys heard, just to recap, it's not that you get the 40K, so you get an award letter. So meaning if you're in the planning stages and you don't have estimates yet or anything like it, you just put your name practically in the pipeline and reserve the 40,000 up to the 40,000 in your name. So when you are ready, then they will practically pay the 40K or up to into an escrow account. And that's when your contractor and your permit fees and everything. I'm not quite sure how it's going to work practically, because if you go down to the city of any city, you need to hand over a check for the permit fees right there. It's not that the city of Vista, for example, sends an invoice to that escrow company and then it gets paid. So they're obviously, and this is why the site right now is shut down, or let's call it, it's a soft pause, they call it, because they're working actually on making some revisions and some improvements and also changes on the back end. So I think with their first round of funding, they realized, okay, so we need to make certain changes. So that's kind of what I heard. Now, this is just so you know, it is owner occupied. But the good news is it's owner occupied also on multi-family properties. So if you have a duplex, you still can apply for this grant. If you have a fourplex, you can apply for this grant, but you must occupy one of the units. And the income limitation, and when income is, let's say you and your spouse make money, right? And your parents maybe live in the house. It's not the household income where it is sometimes even, you know, with other applications. It is for just the applicant. So if your name is on the deed, then you're the applicant practically, and it goes by your income, okay? John, do you want to add something to that?
No, you're doing fine. The only thing I want to say, might want to add, is that they, like anything else in this whole program, since it started in 2017 with the very first ADU laws that went into effect, it's changing about as often as you change your bed sheets. So you got to be patient with everybody and everything within that space, because you can wake up one day and have one set of rules for like even your permitting and what the new ordinance might be. As the state laws change, then they have to, that transcends down to the local jurisdictions, who then have to wrap their arms around what all those new laws are, and then they have to enact those within their own space. And then likewise with this grant program, this is new. Like Lenska alluded to earlier, the state's sitting on top of about $80 billion, as I understand, of surplus income. So they're finally waking up and smelling the roses and realizing there's probably a lot more they can do to help augment the housing shortage we're having. So they've allotted this $100 million for this grant program under the Cal HFA loan, the program as a whole. But they're they're also trying to wrap their arms around this. And I've seen them now go through, since I've become an approved partner with them, I've probably seen them go through about 3 or 4 transitions. So what we're saying to you today might be completely different tomorrow when they go back online, as Lenska so aptly pointed out.
And I think they're trying to get back alive end of October. They already have 900 other applications. So I would suggest you start ASAP. Okay, so and I don't know, the 211,000, is it adjustable gross income? Is it your W-2? I assume it's on your 1040, it's taxable income, but so
It is, Lenska, and it's on that subject, I had a question from a lady that wanted to know how that, in fact, let me read it to you. What is the, oh, wait a second. Is the income limit for the $40,000 grant based on the active residence on the property or the combined income of people on the title? And basically only one person needs to qualify, and it can be the person, the spouse or the partner who makes the least amount of money. So if you have one partner that's making $250,000 a year and the other making $200,000 a year, then the one that's making the $200,000 a year can qualify under the $217,000 limit for San Diego.
okay, so that probably will in the application it will ask you specific, but I did heard that you need tax returns. Okay.
Yeah.
So now what they say on their website, right over to the right here, eligible costs. Pre-development costs, including but not limited to architectural designs, permits, soil tests, impact fees, property surveys, energy reports, and utility hookups. And now, to the joy of the lenders on the call, they know that you can use that grant also for an interest rate buy down. And I will unmute you later, or when I unmute everybody, and you might want to see if you have used it yet for a rent interest rate buy down. But again, what happens is we had a client that is already in the process, and we told him obviously to apply. He already paid for the permit. He already paid for a soils test. So since it's all going through escrow, they will not reimburse you for things you already paid. Okay. So if you do have an open escrow right now or a fund control with, your construction cost and your contractor hasn't totally billed you yet, or, there's still impact fees to pay or something like that, and especially the utility hookups, this is another kind of rubber word. What does it mean? Does it mean the sewer fee to the city to hook up to the sewer, or does it mean all the trenching and the utility trenching, excavation, and for the septic? Are they going to pay for the reimburse you for the actual septic system to put in? So those are kind of some open questions, and
well, let me kind of address that a little bit, Lenska. Can you go back over and center that so we can see? Yeah, it's not to your left, at least on my screen. There we go. Now I'm seeing it. Nope. Now you want right there.
Okay.
Yeah, now I'm seeing it. Now I'm not seeing it. You keep moving that around. Go to your, move the screen to your right.
No, I can't. This is how I always have this. You move yourself over.
You just covered up what they'll allow. That's what I need to see. It's to your left. It's off screen right now.
Okay, sorry, you need to enlarge your screen.
My screen's as large as it'll go, but you just had it and then you moved it again.
Okay, let me see if I move the slide, if it comes back. Okay, so you cannot see the permits.
Now I can see it. Don't touch it. Leave it right there. Okay. All right. So what you were saying, Lenska, about the sewage hookups and stuff like that. First of all, let's put in its proper context. What you don't want to do, if it's at all possible, you want own domestic grid from your on-site grid service the home. because the minute you start going to the city grid and pulling from like the center of the street, or getting new meters or getting new gas hookups and things like that, then you're going to be looking at possible impact fees. Even though they say you don't have to pay impact fees, if you start drawing from the public utility grid, you're going to probably be paying those impact fees. So start with everything that's on your own bid, on your own grid. You've got your own electric panel, you got your own meter for your gas and for all your utilities. So that's where we start. We go to, when we do our trenching survey, we basically start from where all your utilities are connected to your own house and draw those from that point to where the ADU is going to be. And then we stub all those utility connections out in order to be hooked up to the home itself. Hope that makes sense.
And yeah, don't worry about the impact fees. So far, all cities have been waiving those.
Well, only if they're not going, if they're under that, so don't get that mixed up with the 750 square foot. If you stay under 750 square feet, they'll not charge impact fees. If you go over 750 square feet,
no.
Some jurisdictions will and can charge impact fees.
Yeah, but so far I have not encountered it. So
okay, but the thing, but what my point was, and there's a difference here. If you opt to go to the street for some reason and pull your utilities in from the grid, from the city grid, they will charge you impact fees. That has nothing to do with drawing them from your property. And I've looked into that.
Okay. Probably the city of Encinitas.
Probably.
Okay, so we know what is included. So this is the program description, and here the forms you kind of need to complete. It's called the HFA participant affidavit. So you kind of need to certify that, you know, your income, you need to certify that you occupy the ADU. So, and you need to certify that you applied for a permit or impact fees have been paid. So, and then there is, not to confuse with the applicant affidavit. So these are two different things. Actually, this is where you certify the home, that you own the home. This other one is to certify that you will get a certificate of occupancy. Okay. So those are the two forms. And one caveat I want to make sure you guys all know: this grant is considered income. So you will receive a 1099 and you have to pay taxes on that. Okay. So that's just one thing, but you guys have these listed. It's all on the app, but look at this last revised. So that was just on October 18th. Okay. So, so those are you need to know your wiring instruction, your bank account, you know, and like we said, Janine said she didn't have a utility estimate. Anyways, you should have a contractor's bid, and you should have kind of a floor plan or something that you like to do as an ADU, so you can upload that. And if you're really brand new and just because of the 40K you're thinking about doing an ADU, obviously give us a call ASAP so we can point you in the right direction. Okay.
And on that subject, we're happy to assist anybody that has any questions about how to fill out that application. So by all means, Lenska, if you'll put up my contact information after you're finished, so folks can see how to get a hold of us. Just give me a call or email me, or better yet, go to our website and fill out our little intake form, and I'll be happy to get back to you folks, and we'll spend as much time with you as you need.
All right, so just so you guys have a list, and that is from the Cal HFA website. So which are not covered is solar, construction materials and labor, foundation, framing, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, drywall, siding, insulation, roofing, finish work, and ancillary items. So now the good news is for manufactured, the delivery and installation is actually covered.
Well, now,
So-
wait a minute, Lenska, maybe it's just me, but I'm not seeing any of those things that you just read off. I'm just seeing a big white on my screen. Maybe everybody else can see it, but for some reason I'm not.
Okay,
I want to make sure that everybody fully understands what is and what isn't covered. I would have liked to have spent a little bit more time on that list.
now we
I
have
know
a
we're
lunch and learn, and I want to open it
I
to
know we're pressed for time, but
question.
yeah.
I think nobody in the chat said anything that they are not able to see.
Okay, well, then it's just me.
All right, and we are anyway, so these are not covered, but I'm sure that is a fluid list that will probably change. And so now, yeah, who is ready to build or order an ADU? And that's always the big question to you start, and just want to thank for your time, and just want to also explain or encourage you to think about manufactured housing. It actually is on all YouTube channels, from modular to kit to how big the industry is going. And I think Bill Gates just plunged down some $10 billion to build a couple of plants to actually build manufactured housing. So it's taking off right now, and there are great floor plans out there. There are great interiors out there. You don't really see that this is, some people still have that old mobile home image in their mind. So I want to change that for you. And here's some examples of
Can I say a couple of words, Lenska?
go.
Yeah, it kind of just expand a little bit on what Lenska's saying. Back in the old days, pre-HUD, they used to call it 1976. They used to call them all kinds of names. They used to call them trailers, coaches, mobile homes. I used to even refer to them as wobbly boxes. They're still referred to that way on a lot of the older homes. But you got to understand that a pre-HUD home weighed about 10,000 pounds, a single section, or what they called back in those days a single wide, versus today's same size, same floor area, which weighs about 20,000 pounds, double that. And it's all because of the quality of construction that goes into them. When HUD came out with the HUD requirements in 76, that's when the whole industry changed. And that's when in 1981 is when it officially was renamed manufactured, and the name mobile home was dropped from the vocabulary. A lot of folks still refer to them as mobile homes. News commentators in a hurricane always refer to them as mobile homes because there's always a lot of damage done. And they are mobile homes because a lot of those were in old mobile home parks. And God puts mobile home parks in the path of many disasters. So that's why you're always reading or hearing about them on the news. But at any rate, if you want to see how they're built, we do have a factory tour that we can invite you folks to up in Riverside on a by appointment basis. And I also have a furnished model down in Leucadia for anybody in San Diego or Orange County or in LA, wherever you want to drive from is fine with us. But we can show that by appointment, and that will give you a really good idea of not only spatial relations, but also the quality and the kind of options and upgrades that are available with them. Now, what you're seeing here is a project that we did just recently. This was just completed about 3-4 months ago. This is one of the ones that Lenska was referring to. It took us about 2 years to get this poor gentleman finally completed because he got us right in the middle of COVID. He got us in February of 2020, and it was a real challenge to finally get him CO'd, or certificate of occupancy. And now he and his wife are happily living in it. They're on their property with their kids. Their kids own the property, and they allowed their parents to come on and put this ADU on their property, and they're going to live out their lives there with their family. You can't ask for much more than that. This is another project we just completed. That shows it without the home set yet, but this is another property in Vista that had to be crane set. And yes, you can crane set these. We do it all the time. It's been an operation that's gone on for years. A lot of folks get kind of spooked about it, and it is an operation. I mean, it's like
Look at all the power lines in the photo. You know, you think, oh my God, no, I can do manufactured. My lot is not this, and I can't access it. So just go back to, you see how much, you know, cars, and you think, oh, where's it going to go, right? But here we are, crane.
Yeah, well, don't let those power lines fool you, because this was an unusual situation for a variety of reasons that I won't really get into the weeds about. But technically and legally, you are not allowed to put a crane's not allowed to go over or under overhead power lines. So in this particular situation, there were some rules. We did have to disconnect a couple of the power lines in order to do it. But there are some projects that just won't allow us to do it because of overhead power lines.
And I always call it an ADU in a day, okay? So it just gets dropped in, and you guys can see up in that screen. So where the ADU, after some cleanup and going back to the list of the costs that are covered, it's actually clearing up a lot is actually covered in those costs. And that's kind of what we try to show you today. And if you do want a more in-depth ADU site analysis report with all the data and rental analysis and financials, it's usually I charge between $300 and $500, but even better, you can go on CREST Backyard's website and or call John. He has a wealth of information. Call him at 760-815-6977, and has a lot of info on it. And there is a contact form. You see that on the bottom, and complete that, and we can schedule a free Zoom call and get your project on the road, so to speak.
Our intake form is on the bottom of any page if you log on